cultural barriers. And you just hit on that when you were saying about the home visits, because you kind of have to balance things out a little bit, and sometimes you just have to go home to your own biological family.
Right.
So I do agree. It's important that we learn as much as we can to be effective teachers. And the overall theme of all of these articles is and has been family engagement, and it seems like it's a good direction for us to be going as education evolves, because much of the time I am a parent to these kids. Mm-hmm. So do you guys find that as well?
Absolutely. I was actually having that conversation at work today, that we have a new teacher who feels so compelled to kiss every boo-boo and hug every kid and hold their hands. And I'm like, okay, we are their teachers too. And so we trying to balance that. She's really disconnected from the realities of their home lives. She thinks that these kids come from the poorest of poor. And while we're an urban school, we're not the most downtrodden. And she comes from a very white, affluent home where she's very disconnected. She's like, these kids, they have jobs and they have to babysit. I mean, they're never going to succeed in life. And no, they can. We also need to be that support person. Like one of the articles mentioned, I can't find it right now, that mentality that takes a village, like partnering with the families, partnering with to nurture those students and help get them the support they need. Because I think she's really struggling with this idea that these kids don't want to go to college. I'm like, no, they probably do, but there's a disconnect because they don't have the right support. The families want their children to go to college. Mm-hmm. And the big problem for us is that our teachers right now have such negative ideas about any new initiatives. So far, admin were to come to school and say, hey, do some home visits, or we're going to do this parent seminar, like come be a part of that and come have a conversation with parents. They say we don't have the time, and the Gonzalez article mentioned that's the biggest problem on teachers, that we just don't have the time to do it as well, and that's unfortunate with so many initiatives.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then the third question, last question that we had, is just how do we address these potential home visits or increase school contact to simply entrench educators' potential deficit beliefs about parents? I think, Erin, you kind of brought it up earlier, and I think the number one thing is having more accountability. I think if we're going to really strive to have that contact and communication between teachers, principals, and the parents, there needs to be more of like documentation, even if it's like, okay, 2 good calls, 1 academic call, but just something where it's strategic and everybody's following that same routine consistently, and where people are held accountable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think most schools like mine and other schools that I've taught at, or I did my STEM teaching, I said that we all in my district follow this conventional idea that the only forms of parent engagement are back to school nights and sporting events and things like that. It's not anything of real substance where the parents feel empowered. And the Delgado article mentions that, is empowering parents and giving them the keys to really be a partner with us. And I think teachers are unwilling maybe to give up that authority. They think, well, I'm the teacher, I've been educated, I know what's best for the student's education, not the parent. And I think that ties back into the deficit teaching model, that somehow as leaders we need to address that and really motivate teachers to be on board and understand this cultural capital that our families possess.
Yeah.
Use that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I think also that on one of the articles, I can't remember which one, it might be in the Gonzalez article, we can learn so much from the families. And last year I worked for West Ed. I was a consultant and I did lessons for a program called APTT. And that's where it's called Academic Parent-Teacher Teams, and where it is all about parent engagement, and families really want their kids to succeed. And I was just giving a Veterans Day speech today because tomorrow's Veterans Day and I'm a veteran. And they asked me, why did you join? And I thought, wow, that's a great question. I was 17. I grew up in the hood, I guess you could say. And my parents didn't have money to send me to college. And I couldn't see myself getting married and having babies, which was probably in my mind back then, that's what would have happened. So I joined the military when I was 17, and so it brought me back to thinking that these kids really they bring so much to the table, not just in the academic, but how do we actually harness what they bring to the table and use it as valuable lessons to teach us teachers? Because and one of the other things is that I'm going to get trailed off here, but our teachers here at this school don't trust the administrators, and the administrators at this school don't get along. So we have the want and the desire and the families, but no one knows where to make the first step. So it's usually up to the teachers. And I thought it was so funny because I think Aaron said something about the teachers are really resistant for change. And what happens is, like, for example, a few weeks ago we had our curriculum night, and it was 2 hours long because it's translated. Everything's translated, and it was sixth grade, so middle school curriculum night. Well, on the elementary level for curriculum night, the teachers weren't even there. So I just found that unbelievable to me that they weren't there to answer the questions, because they're the educators of the children that are there with them all day long. And it brings me to the idea of, like, the vision that I want when I'm a leader and when I'm suggesting things to the school, is that the teachers, we need to change the language. We need to change how we look at education as a whole. Like, it is a community effort. Educating a kid is a community effort. And that goes with the administration and support, because we need the support as teachers. Because if we are being like the daytime parents, like I was saying, we've had only one professional development day, and we've been here for 11 weeks. And that's tiresome. It gets to be burdensome, where you just have to get out of here. And I can see why teachers, Aaron, don't want to hang around. So it has to be a healthy transition. As leaders, we need to keep that in mind.
Taylor, do you have anything to add?
Like the several points that you brought up were really, yes. So several points that she was bringing up were especially about learning the language and the language, and it specifically says that it's malleable and ever shifting, and I just find that very funny. It's something that we need to kind of work on together. Like you were saying, it's a community effort. It also goes on when you were talking about being a veteran, and I think it was referencing to like them kind of like growing up. It talks about public schools recognizing and building citizenship. And I just think it's very important that we, as educators, but as a group, work on helping them, like, mold them into, I guess, better people. I feel like every time someone. So, like, today, for instance, in my first hour, I had a male student called a female student, the B word. And so we had a small discussion about, like, why that's wrong. So instead of just, like, yelling at him and telling him that's not right, don't do that again, kind of talked him through it of, like, this is why that's not okay. Like, you're putting down females in general. You're making them feel like a lesser person. Like, you don't want to do that. How would you feel if the roles were reversed? And I asked him, I was like, well, how would you feel if I told your mother this? What would she do? Or how would your father react to that?
Right.
Like, oh. I was like, yeah, so you have to think about these things. You have to think about before you say things. And so I just reading that, like, resonated with me, especially just because of today. But you were talking about community effort. I definitely think we as a community, not just like you said, daytime parents, like, we only have them for 7 hours and they go home and we can either pray to God that it's going to continue when they go home, or we can, work with them to make sure